In Lesson 8.7, we're going to talk about the Pythagorean theorem. So the Pythagorean theorem states that in any right triangle, now this only works in right triangles, the sum of the squares of the length of the legs, sorry, that looks kind of icky, equals the square of the length of the hypotenuse. Now, what on earth does that mean? This side right here is your hypotenuse, because he doesn't touch the little square. Okay, see how he doesn't touch the square? That side's always your hypotenuse. The two sides that meet at the square, those are your legs, because they meet at the little box. And the box, remember, means right angle. So here's the formula that we're going to use. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. That's super important. You're going to want to memorize that. C is always a hypotenuse. Okay, so fill that in before we scroll down and fill some more things in. Okay. In a right triangle, the legs are perpendicular. To each other. So perpendicular means they meet at the box. So here and here meet at the box, so these are the legs. And the hypotenuse is the longest side, always. And he does not touch the box, so this is the hypotenuse. Okay, so now let's find the length of the hypotenuse. We're going to use the Pythagorean theorem. Oops. So remember, the theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A and b are the two sides that meet at the box, so I'm just going to put those on there. And c is the hypotenuse, which doesn't touch the box. Now they flipped the Pythagorean theorem around, which is fine. So instead of a and b coming first, they put c first. So it's okay to do that. Now plug in the numbers that we have. So 7.5 squared plus 10 squared. 7.5 squared is 56.25. 10 squared is 100. Add those two together. You get 156.25. Because remember, order of operations, you have to do the exponents before you add. Now I want to get rid of this little 2 up here, so to undo that, I'm going to square root both sides. And I'm going to get 12.5 as my answer. Okay, so the length of the hypotenuse is 12.5. So pause and fill that in before moving on. And just so you have that little guy filled in, the hypotenuse is 12.5 centimeters. Okay, so let's move on. Now, what happens if they gave you the hypotenuse but asked you to find the length of a leg? So same thing, we're still going to label every, whoops, come back. Okay, we're going to label everything as A, B, and C. Oh, they switched it on us for this one. Okay, they put A here. It doesn't matter who A and B are. I just want to make sure that we can fill the boxes in. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A we don't know, b is 15, and the hypotenuse is 25. 15 squared is 225. 25 squared is 625. Now I want to get the a squared by itself, so I have to move this 225 over to the other side by subtracting it. And that gives me 400. Now, to get rid of this little 2, I'm going to square root both sides. And the square root of 400 is 20, so the length of the leg is 20 feet. Okay, so pause the video and fill that in before moving on to the last example. Now we've got a little word problem. A ladder is placed 4 feet from a wall, and it touches the wall 11.3 feet above the ground. What is the approximate length of the ladder? A sketch shows the length of the ladder is the length of the hypotenuse. So if you think about it, this is where the ladder would be, right? So, let's use our Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared. Let's do a and b. And there you put c on there. So 4 squared plus 11.3 squared. Now I'm just going to punch all that in to the calculator, and I get 143.69. Again, to get rid of the 2, I square root both sides. And I get something about, see, that means about, it's not equal, 12.0, so the length of the ladder is about 12 feet. Okay, so now you try the 3 quick checks. Remember to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And just find your missing number. And we'll check your working class.